Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about why do we make bad financial decisions, right? There's no shortage of information, that's for sure. There are a lot of books on whatever topics. I mean, in the context of what we're talking about financial planning and finances. There are endless books. I have one myself called Art of Retirement. There are endless videos, there are endless podcasts, courses, and everything in between. And however, sometimes we still end up making bad decisions. Now, why is that the case? It's because of who we are. You might say, who are we? Well, we're human beings. And that being said, a huge part of why we make decisions is based on our brain. And there are different parts of our brain which we engage to make decisions. And you know, there's scientific terms for this, but we're going to use pretty simple terms to show how the different parts of the brain work. And this is based, by the way, based on a book by a gentleman by the name of Daniel Priestley, and the name of the book is Entrepreneur Nation. Here's the beautiful thing about this book. It talks about entrepreneurs and how they make decisions and how to build their businesses, but from the point of decision making, it speaks about the brain, but quite frankly could apply to individuals and their financial decisions. In addition to that, I always look at individuals and say they should be treating their personal finances like a corporation anyway, like a business. I think that context is a very powerful one to take, and so it aligns really well with what I say to my clients. So let's start off with the first part of the brain. The first part of the brain is the reptile brain. How does that work? Well, it's dominated by basic survival instincts. Survival instincts like fight, flight, or freeze. And you can just imagine something happens, you get triggered, some type of fear, some type of panic, some type of anxiety. It could be this bill that comes about, or it could be some type of money you're expecting to receive. You haven't gotten it. I know you feel you need to make up for that shortfall. And so now you're looking at the first opportunity that comes your way and you make that decision. And quite frankly, that's how people get tied into scams a lot of times, right? And I've seen that, and scammers take advantage of individuals that way, because if they know that they're in certain circumstances, they may put these opportunities because you're more susceptible at that times, right? So having that fight or flight or freeze, because of different anxieties or fears that you may have, especially from a financial standpoint, may lead to gambling. It may lead to mindless consumption just to purchase to feel better. So it leads to impulsive decisions, and ultimately a lot of times it leads to losses. As you can imagine, just making decisions impulsively without actually thinking about it, or future apologies, if you're taking money from someone and investing it somewhere where it doesn't make sense, right? So this is what happens when we're tapping into the reptile brain. No, the obvious benefits for the reptile brain, for example, if you're in a parking lot, somebody approaches you the wrong way and it looks like they are there to wish you harm, it may make sense for you to run, or if you have the opportunity, you may need to defend yourself, or they're coming to take something from you. So there are definitely reasons why that is a part of us, and there may be good reason where it should be triggered, but from a financial standpoint we have to be very careful. The other brain that Daniel Priestley talks about is called the monkey brain. So what's the monkey brain? The monkey brain is the part that's used to memorization and repetition and just being told what to do. That part of the brain, what happens where we are used to a particular routine, and if anything takes us off that path, we fight it. So you may have certain circumstances where, interest rates are up, so the mortgages are up, and so you might have inflation. Of course, we talk a lot about inflation. That's a thing. And so you have this cost of living, but you need to do something. Maybe look for another job, or if you have a business, see what you can to do to increase the profit of your business. But you might just be inclined to just go, you know what? Somehow it's going to work out, and go back to do the same repetitive thing that you're used to, because that's where you have comfort, and that has brought you, solace. It has brought you comfort over the many years. And so anytime you try to do something outside of that, there's this huge discomfort, and that's the monkey brain kicking in saying, no, it's just going to be fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing the routine stuff. And if you have some type of anxiety, you have simple pleasures that you may tap into. So you might go on social media, Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media platform or whatever thing you engage in, just to get some type of comfort, just to get some type of entertainment, to keep that cycle of monotonous work and, have those emotional distractions, not to have you feel that anxiety, right? But here's the thing, it doesn't solve the situation that you're going through. And it doesn't allow you to pursue anything beyond what's there in your routine environment. And you're definitely not envisioning anything beyond what you're doing, because if it does, it takes you out of your comfort zone and your routine circumstances, right? So that's the monkey brain. Now, the last brain is called the empire builder, entrepreneur brain. I'll call it the you ink brain, right? Now, what is that? So that's the brain that Daniel Priestley says, as an entrepreneur, you use to build strategy and think long term. From a financial standpoint, that's the part of the brain that we're tapping into to say, okay, this is where we build the financial plans. This is where once we have the financial plans, we look at our financial strategy. This is where we step back and go, what do we even want to create? What are the values? What's important for us? What's important to us? What's important to our families? What are we looking to do? What are we looking to accomplish? What are we, the legacy that we want to create? So it taps into the abundance aspect of who we are as individuals, right? And as we talk about strategy, of course, we're thinking long term. So from a financial standpoint, we're looking at building an inspiring legacy. We're looking for foresight, right? We value wisdom, right? As opposed to just a quick fix. We're looking at, okay, how can I take this information and how can I implement this information in the right way, versus just seeing the first thing that comes about and implementing it, right? Without thinking about if it aligns with who I am and it aligns with the strategy. You also look for potential resources and collaborations, because again, we're as individuals, we can only make a certain amount of decisions, because of course you only have a certain amount of knowledge and a certain amount of wisdom, right? So this is where the you ink aspect of building a financial plan. When I sit with individuals, I always tell them, listen, what we want to do is essentially build a network of professionals around you to help you achieve your goals. It could be an accountant, could be a mortgage broker, realtor. It could be you have health issues, and we bring in a fitness coach. Whatever the case is, we look at it from a holistic standpoint, and we're thinking long term. No, are we going to implement everything and see everything change tomorrow? We're going to implement and see some changes, but everything may not happen tomorrow. It works over time, right? So, and of course, there's definitely certain things you could implement tomorrow and you could start putting together, but that's because it's part of a long-term strategy. So that's what you call the empire builder entrepreneur. I call it the U-Ink brain, and that's where we think long-term. So what you should be considering is, what part of the brain are you using to make decisions? You might be going, okay, Anthony, how do I implement this? Part of it is, especially when some type of emergency comes about, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling fear. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have lack of funds when these emotions happen, because I have seen individuals with enough money where they're comfortable for retirement and beyond, and still have these feelings, right? And sometimes they compensate by doing different things. Now, one part of it is just taking a time out, taking a step back, and just, for example, looking at this video, you could make some notes there and say, okay, which part of the brain is being activated now? And is it grounded? Are my feelings grounded? And if so, that interception and that awareness at least pauses the rush of emotions usually, and it also allows you to take a step back, and it helps you to have clarity before you make those decisions, right? What I always like to do is, when I put a financial plan together for the person's U-Ink, we create a value statement. So if we're going to execute or make big decisions, we always go from there. We look at the value statement. What does your family stand for? What are your long-term goals? What are your long-term strategies? I know we're in this situation right now, and does it align with this? And if it aligns and we walk through the pros and the cons, and if there's significant pros and it makes more sense, then we could go ahead. If not, we take a step back, and if there are more cons than pros, then we're going, okay, well, maybe we should not be maybe we should not be exploring this. Maybe we should think twice about implementing the strategy, right? Maybe we should think twice about this decision. So, this is where awareness really kind of kicks in to see which part of the brain we're using when we're making these decisions. Is this going to happen overnight? Maybe not. But the more you're aware, it will help you along the path. And it's helpful if you do this with small decisions. And obviously, I think with big decisions, but when I say small decisions, I mean in a day-to-day. If you have financial anxieties, take some time out, stop for a while, and think about what part of the brain is being engaged, and think about what action are you being pushed to take, and start to think about, okay, does this decision or would this action be the best thing to do right here, right now? Just that interruption alone will guide you more and provide you with the awareness to think twice about some of the bad decisions, or I shouldn't say the not so helpful decisions that we make on a day-to-day. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, it's the reptile brain, the monkey brain, and what I call the entrepreneurial brain / the You Inc. brain, based on a book by Daniel Priestley called Entrepreneur Nation. Hopefully this was helpful. See you next week. Take care. Bye.